Hi, my name is John.
And my name is Lloyd.
And we're the hosts of The Pint,
a pop culture podcast.
Lloyd, if you had to tell any of the people out there that might be listening to The Pint for the first time about anything unsavory or disconcerting we might do on the show, what would you warn them about?
Well, sometimes we drop spoilers, and sometimes we swear like motherfucking sailors.
Fuck yeah, we do. You heard it from him. You've been warned.
Listen in.
Before you flip out, okay, let me just explain what happened, all right?
Explain it to me. I need an explanation. What is the matter with you?
There's nothing wrong with me, brother. That woman tried to escape, and I did what I had to do.
No, that woman wouldn't have said shit if she had a mouthful of it.
Wrong. Yeah. After you left, she became a completely different person.
Yeah.
Welcome to a brand new episode of The Pint, a pop culture podcast here on Fang February, where we're talking vampires week after week after week after week, all 4 weeks in February. My name is John.
My name is Lloyd.
About 5 years ago, Lloyd was taking some time off from the podcast, and Larry and I recorded an episode on From Dusk Till Dawn of Night. And that episode got lost in a lost memory laptop meltdown, whatever you want to call it.
I remember that.
Sometimes in life you get second chances, so Lloyd is back to do the episode, and Larry's not here. Larry's going to be joining us later in the week to talk about another vampire film, but Lloyd and I are going to be talking about 1996's From Dusk Till Dawn. Let's get into it.
Hey! Fire it up! 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 Fire it up!
And as a note, if this laptop fucks this episode up, there will not be a third take of this movie. No third tries. Manster, this is almost adjacent to our old show for Forgotten Entertainment on the QT, right? Because
you're right, yeah. You know, it's funny. I was just looking at my those little squares that I made for the artwork for that, and yeah, I missed doing that.
Yeah,
I should have done one from this one.
That was also in 2021, so 5 years removed from the From Dusk Till Dawn episode that Larry and I recorded that got lost, and 5 years ago we did On the QT. If you don't know what On the QT is, our buddies Mike and Mike over at Forgotten Cinema had a podcasting network at one point called Forgotten Entertainment, and they asked us to do a show. So basically, if you like The Pint, you would love On the QT because it's just The Pint talking about all, 9 of the Quentin Tarantino directed.
Yeah, but we did 10 eps.
10 episodes because we split Kill Bill Volume 1 and 2 into 2 separate episodes. But yeah, so this one, let's get into it, was released on January 19th of 1996, and it is directed by Robert Rodriguez, so not directed by Quentin Tarantino. Robert Rodriguez, you might know him from a lot of the things he wrote and directed, such as the Spy Kid films and Desperado. But if you want to talk about movies that he directed and did not write, a la From Dusk Till Dawn, Alita Battle Angel, The Faculty, and Sin City. He didn't write any of those. He just directed or co-directed in the case of Sin City. He's the guitarist and one of the founding members of a band called Chingon, which had one album, 2004's Mexican Spaghetti Western. Basically kind of like a rock mariachi vibe. They did some soundtrack work. They have a song on the Kill Bill Volume 2 soundtrack and on the soundtrack of one of his other films, Machete. The writer of this film is Quentin Tarantino, but he only wrote the screenplay. This is his first paid writing assignment. He made $1,500 to write this in a trade-off to have the ear scene from Reservoir Dogs, the effects-heavy ear scene, to be done by K&B FX, which we'll get into why in a second. Quentin Tarantino, other than the stuff we have talked about in the past, his written and directed efforts, also wrote the story of Natural Born Killers. He did not write the screenplay. It was changed heavily, and he was not a fan of it. And True Romance. Going back to the director chair, because Robert Rodriguez was brought into this a little bit late, this was originally offered at one point to Rennie Harlan, the guy who made Cliffhanger and Die Hard 2 and recently did the Strangers chapters 1 through 3. And Tarantino also said Tony Scott, Ridley Scott's brother, who did True Romance, was also in the talks to direct this at one point. Tarantino had become friends with Robert Rodriguez and felt like this screenplay would heavily be benefited by his style. So they went with him on it. Now, the original writer of this, the guy who came up with the idea in 1988, is Robert Kurtzman. Robert Kurtzman also wanted to direct this, but could never get around to doing it. Part of the reason he couldn't do it is because he is the K of KMB Effects, Greg Nicotero being the N and Howard Berger being the B. Greg Nicotero, by the way, has a cameo in this film as the guy that Sex Machine, we'll get into him in a minute,
steals a lot like, what's his name?
Greg Allman, or Dog the Bounty Hunter.
Yeah, another guy too, the singer, Sebastian Bach.
Yeah, kind of Sebastian Bach.
All in this one show.
Yeah, he's got a lot going on. So Kurtzman wanted to direct this. He wrote this original idea in 1988. Couldn't do any of it. Traded off with Tarantino to do some work on Reservoir Dogs and paid him $1,500 to write the screenplay. This guy has hundreds of effects and makeup credits. KNB, here's a couple of theirs, though. Bride of Reanimator, Vanilla Sky, the Tom Cruise film, and Jason Goes to Hell, The Final Friday. So yeah, that's some of your production information. This was filmed all over the place in California, mostly. Lancaster, California, Barstow, California. The Titty Twister, the bar that in the movie is set in Mexico, was actually filmed, the exteriors in Calico Dry Lake in California, and the interiors were on a soundstage in Los Angeles. There were bits and pieces of this film actually filmed in Mexico, in Chihuahua, Mexico, and some of it was filmed in Redmond and Seattle, Washington. I did not see where in this movie was filmed in Redmond or Seattle, because the gas station was also in California in the beginning. This had a $19 million budget, and what's unusual about this, and any movie over $15 million, but not unusual for Robert Rodriguez.
A non-union production crew.
Yeah. I wonder how film people feel about that kind of stuff, but
I don't think they like it.
No, they probably don't like it. 2 direct-to-video sequels to this film, From Dusk Till Dawn 2, Texas Blood Money, and From Dusk Till Dawn 3, The Hangman's Daughter. From Dusk Till Dawn 3, Robert Rodriguez was actually involved in not directing. I think he might have co-wrote it. The second one, I believe, was just other people altogether.
Do you see either of those?
No,
me neither.
I've seen them on streaming, and I've seen them in DVD, places that sell DVDs, but never seen them. And then in 2014 to 2016, on the now defunct El Rey network, which was Robert Rodriguez's network that was tied into Paramount, there was a 3-season, 30-episode series From Dusk Till Dawn. Now, what's interesting about that is the guy who played Seth Gecko in that show is an actor named DJ Catrona, and he is hometown from my town, Wallingford, Connecticut. He is he's a Wallingford guy. His dad actually comes into the store I run, so I talk to his dad all the time. And at one point, DJ Catrona, when George Miller was going to make a movie called Justice League Mortal, before the Zack Snyder Justice League, before all that stuff, DJ Catrona was hired to play Superman. And this kid, if you've ever seen him, he's got the looks, but there's a recent movie that stars Josh Hartnett called Fight or Flight, I believe, that came out last year. It didn't last too long. It was out in theaters for a very short period of time, but DJ Catrona wrote that. So there's some interesting Wallingford, Connecticut, From Dusk Till Dawn factoids. Manster, let's get into the cast of this film.
Hey, who the fuck are you? Huh? Who the fuck are you?
So we have Harvey Keitel as Jacob Fuller. He is the minister, as he says, but he has lost his faith due to events. He's from Brooklyn, Harvey Keitel. You'll know him from Taxi Driver, The Last Temptation of Christ, and Thelma and Louise was a big one. Obviously, Reservoir Dogs. The Piano. I think, did he go full Monty in The Piano?
He hangs down a lot, I believe.
Yeah.
I think I've never seen Bad Lieutenant, but I think that movie is like Harvey Keitel, Bad Lieutenant, and then underneath it, it's like his cock, like
Great
co-star,
dick.
his cock.
Little Nicky. Then we have, I really like this guy, George Clooney as Seth Gecko. You might remember him from Grizzly 2, The Revenge.
Return of the Killer Tomatoes. Yeah.
Right. He was a handyman in the Facts of Life TV show.
Yep.
Played Dr. Doug Ross in ER. That I guess was his big breakthrough. Three Kings, Oceans movies, Gravity, a ton of other stuff. And then we have Quentin Tarantino himself as Richie Gecko, his Seth's younger brother. He played Mr. Brown in Reservoir Dogs. He played Jimmy in Pulp Fiction, and he's in a lot of his own movies. He was the pickup guy in Desperado. He was also in Golden Girls and Alias.
Yeah, he was a Elvis impersonator.
Elvis impersonator.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then we have Juliette Lewis as Catherine Kate Fuller, the daughter of Harvey Keitel. Also in real life, the daughter of our beloved Jeffrey Lewis.
Yeah.
I think we love him as a character actor. She was in Christmas Vacation. You'll remember her from that. Cape Fear, California with a K. What's Eating Gilbert Grape? Natural Born Killers, like you said. And most recently, Ma.
Never saw that.
I never saw that one either.
She's Juliette Lewis in this movie in particular, and she's probably in her early 20s in this movie. I've always found her to be unconventionally attractive.
Yeah.
She's not like Hollywood attractive. She's like normal chick attractive, but like
normal chick. Yeah.
Yeah. There's something weird about her, but also something attractive about her.
Yeah, you wouldn't look at her and say, "Oh wow, she's super hot," or "She's a bombshell," or anything. She's just, I don't know, naturally good looking. Something about her. She also put out a bunch of albums. She was a musician, I think, a singer.
Yep.
Really quickly, Ernest Liu as Scott Fuller. I don't think he did much after this, but this movie did say introducing Ernest Liu. That is the brother. Then we have Salma Hayek as Santanico Pandemonium. We've spoken about her before. You can listen to our Desperado, I think, to hear more about her. She is clearly one of the sexiest beings in the whole world ever. Also in Wild Wild West, she had that unibrow and Frida, the Hitman's Bodyguard. She was recently, I saw her a couple years ago in Black Mirror, an episode of Black Mirror. She played Joan in Joan is Awful. Then we have Cheech Marin as the border guard / Chet Pussy / Carlos. Yeah, so he introduces a hell of a lot of pussy, adjective pussy in this, of which I can remember. We got
Juliette Lewis is apple pie pussy.
Oh yeah,
there's
the last one.
Fat pussy, skinny pussy,
hairy pussy,
smelly
yellow
pussy. Yeah, it's all over the place.
There's horse pussy, chicken pussy.
Yeah, dog pussy. Yeah.
You will know him from all the Cheech and Chong stuff. Also Yellowbeard, kind of harkens back to a long time ago with the pint. Ghostbusters 2, Desperado, Nash Bridges, Judging Amy, going back to some TV shows. Then we have Michael Parks in a brief role as Texas Ranger Earl McGraw, who is also a recurring character in the Kill Bill episode movies, Planet Terror, Death Proof. He was in the Return of Josie Wales. He played Josie Wales, which was a sequel to the Clint Eastwood Outlaw Josie Wales.
Didn't even know there was one. That's interesting.
Me neither. He was in Smokin' Aces 2. I remember I liked Smokin' Aces 1. Red State, Argo, Tusk. He did a lot of movies with Tarantino, Rodriguez, and Kevin Smith.
Yeah, and this character is in Kill Bill Volume 2, I believe.
Yeah, that recurring character guy. Yep. He was also a singer. He had a lot of albums, and he died in 2017, and he requested to be buried at sea.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, kind of like, who was it that we just talked about recently was in space? Oh, was it Trumbull?
Yeah, Douglas Trumbull, yes.
Yeah. So one guy in space, one guy at sea.
One guy way up, one guy way down.
Yeah.
They got both of our borders secured.
Briefly, we have Kelly Preston as the newscaster, Kelly Huge, I guess. So Kelly Preston was married to Kevin Gage. You may not know his name, but you might recognize him. He was in Heat.
Waingro.
He was in Strangeland, if you recall, the D. Snyder.
I unfortunately recall, yes.
Yeah. Also dated George Clooney, then engaged to Charlie Sheen, and then probably most people know as she married John Travolta.
Her scene's awesome because she's got the cameo, and then she interviews John Saxon.
Yeah.
Who's like only, if you never saw this movie before, you're like, oh, John Saxon's going to be in this. No, he's not.
Yeah. No, just brief. She was in Christine, the Stephen King movie, Twins.
I just watched Christine with Heather. She had never seen it before, like 3 weeks ago, and I forgot she's the high school girl that has eyes for the
Arnie?
No, the friend,
the jock,
and he doesn't pay any attention to her, and she is gorgeous, Kelly Preston. It's hilarious.
Also, Jerry Maguire, Battlefield Earth. And unfortunately, she died in 2020 of cancer.
Yeah.
That sucked. Moving on, we have Tom Savini as Sex Machine. He is the renowned makeup artist, actor, stuntman, director. Did a lot of special effects work for Romero stuff and many other things. Dawn of the Dead, Day of the Dead, Creepshow, Maniac, The Prowler, all that stuff. Also appeared as an actor in a lot of those. Martin, one of the early Romero films, Dawn of the Dead, Maniac, like I said. Also, Zach and Miri Make a Porno.
Oh, I haven't seen that in a long time, yeah.
Yeah. Then we have Danny Trejo, who we also talked about quite a bit before. He was in Desperado, Heat, Anaconda, Con Air, Spy Kids, Machete. And then, surprisingly, direct-to-DVD movie called Three-Headed Shark Attack.
Oh, no, that wasn't in theaters? That didn't...
Yeah, I was totally surprised by that.
Top 5 movies of 2019.
Yeah. Now, in an earlier episode, I forget which one, I believe we talked about Peter Stormare.
Oh, many times.
And I said, wow, this is the busiest guy in Hollywood because he had such a huge... No. He's not even close to Danny Trejo.
No, and Danny Trejo owns like a chain of taco restaurants.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
So, and then I'll do one more. We've got Fred Williamson as Frost, the big black dude. Former defensive back for the Steelers, the Raiders, the Chiefs. He was in the AFL, in the NFL. Retired football in 1968, which is a long time ago. Then did a lot of TV and blaxploitation films. A lot of films that I can't even say the titles of.
Yeah, we can't get canceled. We're heading towards the end. We can't get canceled now.
Yeah. Also, The Inglourious Bastards, 78, the original one. The Black Cobra films, Starsky and Hutch. VFW, you saw that, right? VFW.
Oh, that was pretty good. Yeah.
2020, yeah, he was in that too.
Yeah.
Really good. So that's there's a lot more, but let's stop there.
All right, well, let's get into it. This movie is kind of a tale of two halves. I think it's well known. This movie is celebrating its 30th anniversary as we speak, or it's not a spoiler for us to say. This starts off as a crime film and ends up fitting into all Fang February as a vampire film. The Gecko brothers, Seth and Richie, who have their dynamic is very interesting, and I want to talk about this right now. Seth is a bank robber who has been in jail for like 8 years, and Richie has broken him out. They broke out of a jail in Kansas, have robbed banks, have killed people. They have a running tally of Texas Rangers that they've killed. Not that they're necessarily keeping, but like the TV is kind of romanticizing. And they're in Texas trying to get to Mexico because what they're trying to do is they're trying to get to Mexico and end up at a place called El Rey. Manster, what is El Rey essentially?
El Rey is their sanctuary where they're going to escape and live the rest of their life and not worry about the popo.
They don't talk about it too much, but they make it seem like it's a town probably run by criminals for criminals.
Yeah.
And you basically give them a percentage of your take and you get to go live the rest of your life there in anonymity and, no danger from the police. I guess their dynamic, as I said, Seth is the straight-arrowed older brother. Richie's the younger brother who is just...
Richie.
He's a problem.
Richie. Yeah.
He's an absolute problem. Manster, what is Richie all about?
Richie is a fucking a pedophile, nihilistic, just piece of shit.
Yeah.
He can't help himself. He gets something in his head, if he sees like a lady's big toe, it doesn't matter. He looks at a lady and he wants to fuck her and he ends up killing them.
Yeah.
Everyone.
And like the long standing joke with Tarantino is that he has a foot fetish. Boy, this movie.
Oh yeah.
So 3 different things in this movie that I can think of off the top of my head. Early in the movie, they have a hostage, a bank teller woman. He asked her to take her shoes off. That's one thing.
Yep.
There's a scene where he is fucking Juliette Lewis's toes to no extreme. And then he basically, and there's no man on earth that wouldn't do this part, gets fed beer or whiskey or wine off of Salma Hayek's leg and sucks her feet to get it off. But that's less of a foot fetish thing than something I think no guy's ever gonna think to say no to, probably.
Yeah, I don't think anyone would turn away.
Yeah, that's even a thing where if you're like, oh God, feet are gross, that you're gonna like, I'm gonna do this right now. So their dynamic is that he is very dangerous and Seth is just trying to get them safely across the border. There's some really good moments between the two of them where Seth has to really like hammer down on him for being the way he is, but he still is delicate with him. Well, the movie starts in a gas station. We have a Texas Ranger, Michael Park's character, Earl, come in and bullshit with the guy running the show. It's all very normal conversation. Hey, it's hot outside. There's a whole conversation about a mongoloid kid who's working the grill at a breakfast place that there's a lot of stuff that you probably couldn't even repeat in 2026 with the ease.
And just keep in mind, this is the first thing he wrote, well, for money. Not the first thing he wrote, but first thing he wrote where he was paid money to write something.
Yeah. So they're having this really kind of hillbilly conversation about everyday life. And eventually the sheriff asks the guy behind the counter, hey, can I use your bathroom? He lets me use the bathroom. And Manster, immediately, what do we find out's happening in this gas station? Yeah,
so they've got 2 girls hijacked, and they just want money, right?
They don't really say. They come out of the corner. Clear. They come out of the corner with the girls, and they're armed, and you could see now that the guy behind the counter has, he's already in this situation, and we're learning it at, in media res, but it's already
we walked
happened.
in halfway through. Yep.
Right. Matter of fact, when the sheriff walks into the gas station, you could see the girl standing in the corner. You just don't see Richie and Seth with her.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. So they have this conversation where, basically it's like, all you got to do is, get this cop out of here and you're going to survive. But as Seth is trying to just make this situation kind of, I guess, defuse, what is Richie telling Seth?
Richie just is telling him, he's giving him signals. He's alerting him that, that we're here. He's blinking with his eyes. He's mouthing words. It's so stupid. He's not doing any of that.
Yeah, he's doing none of it. And the guy is trying to maintain his composure because he knows these 2 guys have guns and they're willing to kill, the girls, him, and the cop who's in the bathroom. But he's also arguing, like, I did not do that. Yeah. There's actually even a great scene after the shit hits the fan where they're literally just shooting each other, where Richie accuses him again of mouth, and he's, I never mouth anything to him. So eventually the cop comes out of the bathroom. They start to talk a little bit more bullshit. And then Richie just does something Richie and shoots him right in the fucking back of the head.
Yeah, that doesn't take long at all.
He ends up shooting the teller behind the counter, wounding him. And as he goes down, he opens up a safe and gets out a gun, and it just becomes pandemonium and chaos.
There's a lot of gunshots back and forth and not a lot of shots hitting anything except for the palm of Richie's hand.
Yes.
That's about it.
Richie gets shot in the hand, and finally Seth decides they're going to end this. So he tells Richie to shoot out all the bottles of liquor behind this guy in his at his counter, obviously drenching him in alcohol. Now, this is something I think is funny. You're never supposed to think that Seth is a good guy, but you're supposed to think he's the better guy of the 2 of these guys. And they also make him the protagonist of the story, which is interesting whenever they make a villain the protagonist, but he straight up burns this guy to death.
Yeah.
They light him on fire.
Ingenious little scheme, though, he came up with.
Yeah, he lights a roll of toilet paper on fire, hucks it grenade style into the alcohol all over the floor, and this guy goes up. And we get a great effect scene when they're trying to leave, that this fully engulfed in flames guy jumps out from behind the counter again and is shooting, and they're shooting back and forth. He eventually just dies, and they leave. The girls escape. They leave, and as they're walking out, we get like one of those great movie shots.
Yep.
Where as they're walking towards the camera, the gas station just explodes.
Yeah.
It just
with some great dialogue going on too. He's like, "What the fuck's wrong with you?" I said low key. Does this look like low key to you?
This is not low key. we get the credits. They're driving towards Mexico. And during the credits, we see that they have a woman in the trunk of the car.
Yeah.
Now, we also now meet the Fuller family. Manster, what is their dynamic?
Yeah, so they're also going to stop at the roadside hotel or motel. And so it's Jacob Fuller, who is a widowed pastor, and he's doubting his faith. And he's got his 2 children, one adopted, Juliette Lewis, Kate, and Scott.
Scott, yeah.
Yeah. And they're religious. I think, I believe the kids are, of faith.
It's actually a pretty powerful line where you don't find out till later what happened to their mother and Jacob's wife, but he loses his faith, and Kate is like, you taught us our whole lives to believe in God and believe in Jesus, and he tells him, he's like, I don't not believe in them, I just don't like them much anymore. Yeah. And she asks him, like, what would Mom think? And he's like, Mom would think nothing. Mom's dead. Yeah, it's Harvey Keitel is a great actor. Juliette Lewis is very good as well. So they decide before they cross over into Mexico, which they don't ever tell you why they're going to Mexico, but they're going to stop at a overnight motel to have one last night of sleep in a bed. Now, Richie and Seth end up there, and they have their hostage. This woman, I think her name was Dorothy.
Yeah, we see a little bank scene, like a flashback.
Yeah, they kind of, the TV, when Kelly Preston's talking, goes over like how they ran over a school teacher. Like
yeah, why are they taking her? I don't even remember why she's in the trunk.
I think they just took her, as collateral, as a hostage. And they're keeping her. And the idea that Seth has is to keep her alive until they pass over into Mexico. I think the idea with her was she was going to be what the family ends up being, where he wants people with him to kind of have his collateral in case things go down. I think she was the original idea. Okay. But it doesn't last long because Seth leaves the hotel. He leaves the hotel to go talk to his people that are going to get him the place in El Rey. And he goes to pick up some big kahuna burger, Tarantino staple. But he leaves her with Richie. And Richie kind of coaxes her into, come on to bed. We'll watch some TV. And she's like,
take your shoes off.
Older woman and, take your shoes off. And when Seth comes back, Manster, what's the scene we have set up here?
Yeah. So it's so horrible. Seth comes back. Everything's kind of normal. They're grabbing the burgers. And then he just realizes, wait a minute, the lady's not here. She was sitting on the couch when I left. Now she's not. So Richie opens the door to the bedroom, and we don't see it first. We just see Seth's reaction to what he's looking at. And then we see a bunch of subliminal, really quick cuts. And yeah, it's just a bloody mess in there. She's raped and killed, and there's blood on the walls and everywhere. That's gross.
It's really a smart filmmaking choice to show George Clooney reacting to this and then just having those quick flashes of like blood all over the walls. It's one of those things where you don't see what happened, but it looks like maybe she's on the bed with her shirt off, and her head's covered by a pillow. And, he says to Richie, like, he grabs him and he starts slamming him.
It's a really intense scene between them.
Slamming him into the wall. He's like, what the fuck did you do? And he's doing the same thing he did at the gas station. He's like, she turned into a different person when you left. She said she was going to call the cops. She said she was going to, all this stuff. And Seth is just like, she was going to do nothing. She was going to do nothing. You are a fuck up. But then the scene ends after he's bashing against the wall and berating him with him holding him, like hugging him.
Yeah.
He
forces him to say, no, it was wrong or whatever. And then it's, just like a loving hugging, like, we'll get through this. Don't worry about it.
Yeah. So eventually we'll get to this. They all end up at the same motel, little no-tell motel place. And, they trick their way into the room and take the Fuller family hostage. Initially, Jacob's like, no, take me. You're not taking my kids. And he's like, we're all going. Like, this is happening. We're all going, and we will kill you if you don't comply with us. So let's go. Let's get in your RV, because they're taking an RV across country, and let's get through the border. And then all you have to do, he explains to them when they're on the RV, get to the border. We're going to spend some time at this bar that my connection's going to meet us at in the morning. It's open from dusk till dawn. As long as we can get through the night, we're all good.
Yep.
We have some moments where the characters are getting to know each other a little bit better. There's a pretty funny moment where Richie, being Richie, thinks that he hears or sees Kate say to him, "Would you like to eat my pussy, Richie?" And which she didn't say. And there's an awkward moment where he brings it up on the RV, like, "I'll do that thing for you if you like."
I'll do that
like,
thing. I'll happy to.
She's like, "What are you talking about?" And then she just kind of gives this nervous smile, like she's just trying to like appease him. Jacob and Seth have a discussion about what happened to his wife. His wife was killed in a car accident, and she suffered for 6 hours before they can get her out with the jaws of life. Yeah. And this is what has given him his crisis of conscience. But Seth tells them, "We're going to get through this." They get to the border eventually, and we get our first of 3 Cheech Marin performances as the border guard. The border guard, who, by the way, when he opens the bathroom door in the RV and sees very young Juliette Lewis taking a piss, he clearly is looking at her underwear.
Oh,
and, like,
for sure.
He slowly shuts the door.
Yeah, he smiles and shuts the door slowly and looks at it.
Yeah. Richie initially almost freaks out because he doesn't think they're going to get past the border. They're hiding in the bathroom, and it gets to the point where Seth has to knock him out to shut him up.
That's a great scene.
It is a great scene. And it's also a great scene when he wakes up and he lies to him about, like, "Oh, you passed out.
Yeah.
Your hand was bleeding so heavily you passed out." And Richie's like, "I don't fucking know what you're talking about. I don't even remember that."
Yeah. You know, I like George Clooney. He does these things in his performances where he's, in this particular one, he's got that tick. He snaps his head to the side every time he does some particular.
100%. Yeah. He has like this physical tick he does several times in the movie, like kind of moves his neck around. There's a scene coming up in the Titty Twister where he's drinking heavily and where Jacob like says to him, like, "What's your problem?" And he's like, "I'm stewing over that ape touching me." And he's like moving his neck, like stuff like that. Yeah. So they end up getting into Mexico. They get past the border guards, and it's clear sailing from here. And at this point now, Seth has become more friendly with the Fullers, where he's like, "Hey, look, you guys did everything I asked you to. We're going to go to this place called the Titty Twister." He tells Jacob how to get there, and we're going to have a good time. So they get to the Titty Twister. Manster, have you ever been to a Titty Twister-like establishment before? I haven't.
Nothing like that. I mean, I've been to, gentlemen's clubs before, but holy cow, I've never been anything like that.
This place.
And he walks in, he's like, this is my kind of place.
From the outside, it's got this giant neon sign that says Titty Twister, and it's got like a hand twisting a nipple in neon. And then we get, we joked earlier about the pussy thing. We get a Cheech's second performance as Chet Pussy, where he is just letting everybody know all the different kinds of pussy you can get at the Titty Twister. It also seems like as he's doing this place seems like something out of Mad Max. There's just people driving around, motorcycles. It's just insanity. On the way in, he makes a comment, Chet Pussy makes a comment about Kate being apple pie pussy, and Seth takes offense to it and breaks his nose, and then Richie kicks him while he's down. This is an inciting scene in the movie. This is going to cause a lot of issues.
Yeah.
They get inside Manster, and they're initially told, much like the droids are told in Star Wars, that we don't serve your kind there.
Yeah. So Seth orders a whiskey, and the bartender, who happens to be Danny Trejo, looking pretty young. I mean, this is what, 96?
Yeah, he was so probably like 42 or something. Yeah,
he's probably 60.
Yeah.
No, he looks good, and so he pours him a drink. It's in a shot glass. He picks it up. Seth goes to take it, and Danny drinks it himself. And he says, "Get out of here. This isn't your place. You're not welcome here." And that causes an issue. And basically, he finds out it's a trucker/biker bar. And of course, Jacob, who drives an RV, has a trucker's license, so he gets him out of that. And everyone's all welcome now.
While that's all happening, one of the big guys, the guy I just mentioned before, the ape, puts his hands on Seth. Seth, knocks him out. So they sit down, and Seth orders a bottle of whiskey and basically forces everybody to drink. Even the kids, he tells them they're going to drink, which they do very happily. But Jacob doesn't want to drink. He says, "I do drink, but I'm not drinking with you." And he kind of confronts Seth about what you won. We got across the border. Texas, the entire state of Texas is looking for you, and you're here. You've won, and you're going to fuck it up because you're going to get drunk, and you're stewing over this guy pissing you off.
Yep.
So eventually he drinks with him, and everything gets kind of calmed down. There are, again, it's said in the movie, but every type of woman is dancing around, and Scott, who is a young Chinese guy, sees a Asian girl dancing up on the bar, and, Richie says, I'll get you a lap dance with her.
Yeah.
And they're just having a good time. There's a band. The real band is, I think, Tito and the Tarantulas. That's an actual band.
Yeah.
Playing kind of like that mariachi type, rock type stuff.
It is at this point in the movie. So I'm watching it with Candy. She's never seen this before. And so it's at this exact point in the movie where Candy goes, man, this movie is crazy.
Yeah.
And I said, oh, not yet. It's not.
Yeah. This is just the beginning. So eventually Trejo's character comes up and announces that, the most evil woman on earth is coming out to dance. It's Santanico Pandemonium. And it is Salma Hayek in bra and panties. I don't know, basically a 2-piece outfit with a yellow giant Burmese python around her. Salma Hayek actually had to go to therapy before making this movie because she was so afraid of snakes that she had to be convinced to do it.
I was wondering if you had any snake stories on this.
She had a very hard time doing this apparently, but you cannot tell from this scene because, look, I've said it before and I know it's old hat, like when you watch From Dusk Till Dawn to kind of, pump up the Salma Hayek bit of it, but holy shit, right? Like,
yeah,
come on. I have often said many times, and on the episode we did for it, I've often said that I think Jessica Biel in the Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2003 is maybe the hottest a woman's ever been on film. This is like right there as well.
Yeah.
It's a strip tease, but she never gets naked, which somehow makes it sexier. The band is playing. She's, Mexican Latina. She's got rhythm. She kind of walks out across the crowd with the snake. These 2 other hot women take the snake off of her, and then she comes out and she takes this like hair dress off of her head and she's flipping her hair around and she looks awesome.
And walks right up to Richie. She knows right from the start he's the guy to pinpoint here.
Yep. They do the bit where she feeds him the whiskey off of her leg. And, Master, where does everything go wrong? Cause that's where Seth tells him to get back on the clock.
Yeah. So was it the girl? Oh, maybe it's the girl sees that Chet Pussy is coming in the door
with the ape guy. Yes,
with the ape guy, and they're like, oh, who is it? And they point, oh, it's them. Oh, yeah, and Danny, the bartender, is there too. I think there's 3 of them. So then he's like, yeah. So Seth says to Richie says, how many? He says there are 3, and they're right behind him. And then the fracas breaks out, and they start shooting and. The bartender stabs Seth right through his wounded hand, already pinning him to the table.
Richie. Yeah.
Yeah, Richie, I'm sorry.
Yes, he stabs Richie through his wounded hand and he starts to bleed everywhere. And Santanico is on the table, but now her gaze is just completely on the blood that's starting to come out.
She's fixated on his hand, his bloody hand. He does pull the blade out of the table, but his hand is just a bloody mess.
Yeah. They end up shooting and taking out the 3 different guys, and they seem to all be dead. And then is this where she jumps on his back?
Yeah, so when she jumps on his back is about when she switches and, she transforms into the vampire.
Yeah, and the vampires in this are very much like creature vampires. Like her hair, she goes
monstrous.
bald. Yeah, reptilian.
Yeah, she's reptilian.
Human bat-like. There was only 6 suits made in this movie. And they would change the order of how they filmed deaths. And they had, there's obviously more vampires as this movie goes along, but a lot of the people that were in the background had only semi-makeup on because they weren't as forward. So there was only 6 suits made, and they just kind of switched it around and added things to kind of, change features to make you think it was a different vampire. But, so she jumps on Richie and she bites him. She fucking just totally bites him. And this is where everything goes to shit, and this movie just went from a crime movie to a vampire movie out of nowhere. And all of our characters are now in the middle of this melee. Chet Pussy and the other guys come back, and their faces are all vamped out now. And
it's a strange looking vampire effect. Like you don't see too many that look like that, right?
Yeah, it's very much. It's
Some of them
almost
are sort of split vertically down the middle.
It's a motif, but they're not all the same, basically.
Right.
And it just becomes a free for all at this point. Now we also met Frost, who is the Fred Williamson character, who in this scene has one of the coolest vampire killing scenes ever. He flips a table over.
Oh yeah, it's awesome.
And of course the table has 4 legs and they're wooden stakes, obviously. And he just picks up 4 of these vampire, stripper dancers and just impales each one of them on a different leg. We didn't talk much about him before, but Tom Savini plays Sex Machine. He has multiple scenes in this movie that I love, but 2 of the lines that I love are when him and Juliette Lewis are working on a vampire and he goes, hi, what's your name? And she says Kate, and he goes, I'm Sex Machine. And then the other one is later when they're talking about different ways to kill vampires, and this ties into our House of Hammers stuff, is when they talk about, I think, wooden stakes, and he goes, yeah, Peter Cushing did that all the time.
Oh, right, yeah. Making the cross with the stakes.
Making the cross with the stakes, yeah, that's right. So Sex Machine gets involved as well. He's killing vampires. He's got a whip, but he's got something more important, Master. What has he got?
He's got a crotch gun.
Yes, which apparently
with the two of the
barrels.
The barrels. He's got the barrel and then the 2 balls.
The
revolving.
What is the spinny thing on a gun called?
I can't think of it. I don't know.
Chamber. I guess the chamber. Yeah. Okay. I'm an adult. I called that a spinny thing on a gun.
Flips open. It flips open and shuts all its own. He must have like a remote or something. It's totally awesome.
I guess, I don't remember. We did the movie here 2 years ago. I guess in Desperado, it's in Desperado, but never used. There's a scene where he opens the case up and you see the crotch belt there, with the gun on it. Yeah. So they're just killing vampires left and right. And it finally comes to a point where they kind of clear the room out and they have a conversation where it's like, let's just be clear on this, right? Like, I don't believe in vampires, but we're dealing with vampires, right? Yes. And they have to lock themselves into this place. They start hearing a sound, Master. What's the sound outside?
So the sound is a whole shitload of bats outside trying to get in through the doors and windows and just a lot of fluttering noises. But then you also have the people, the non-vampire people who were killed during the melee, and they're starting to come back inside.
Yeah.
They're starting to turn into their own vampires.
Richie being one of them.
Yeah.
Tarantino vampire looks like Frankenstein with an even bigger head.
Yeah, they totally accentuate that forehead and whatever else. Whatever features you have, they accentuate it.
He comes back, and this is another part where Seth is, even though he said he believes in vampires and he knows they're fighting vampires and we got to kill them all, he tells, I think it's maybe Frost is going to kill him. He says, don't touch my fucking brother. But then he tells him, hold him. And they hold Richie for him. And he sees Richie for a second where he actually sees him what he looks like, but he's got fangs, but it's a lighter version. He takes a broken pool cue. I thought about this when I was watching this, Master, and this is just ridiculous to think, but do you think it'd be hard to hammer a pool cue through someone's chest using a revolver? The butt, I feel like I wouldn't be able to, I feel like I would miss the pool cue every time I went to swing for it.
I mean, it's hard enough hitting it with like a mallet.
Right. If you had a big mallet, it might be tough to hit it. He's hitting it with a very small revolver butt. But yeah, he ends up killing Richie. And these vampires, when they die, they basically burn up and then turn into a goo. And they turn green. And the reason that the vampire blood is green in this movie is they can get through it, through the censorship easier than using red blood.
Oh, okay.
So they decided to use green blood. I do like also the fact that we mentioned a second ago, the sound of the bats. You know, Seth basically says, I don't believe in vampires, but it's clear we're dealing with vampires. And when they're talking about the sounds that are happening, they're all coming up with different things that it could be. And he's pouring a drink and he's like, it's bats. Like, because he is putting 2 and 2 together that if we're dealing with vampires, then that is clearly bats. I like the way he does that. All right. We move on, Manster, to, is this where Frost tells his story?
Yeah, Frost is telling his war story to the crew, you know, our crew. And in the meantime, Sex Machine is fighting someone, but Sex Machine gets bit by one of these humans that has come back, I believe.
I think does he get bit by Richie when they're trying to subdue Richie? I can't remember.
If it's Richie, maybe.
Yeah. He is now the guy in every zombie movie that gets bit and tries to hide it. There's always somebody in every zombie movie who gets bit and then for a while tries to hide it. Sex Machine has been bitten in the forearm, and then he ends up putting his leather jacket on. And as Frost is telling this story about how he was in Vietnam and he ended up getting buried under a bunch of VC soldier bodies and he had to fight his way out.
And you know what? You know what I really like about that is he's telling the story. So you hear that story, like you said, but then you go to Sex Machine, but you still see the story going on in the background.
Yes.
Like you see his actions and like his motions, and he's still telling the story, and it's quite funny.
Yes, it's great. You're right. Because there's twofold. You don't have to hear the story to know what the story is.
Yes.
Right? But on the other side, you get Sex Machine, who is realizing he's turning to a vampire in the goofiest ways possible. He's standing in the background, and he knows something's wrong, and Scott looks at him, and he smiles at him, and then, and then he realizes his tooth is turning to a fang, and as he's touching his tooth, his hand ends up elongating.
His fingers sprout out.
Yeah, on both hands. And then in what I think is one of the most awesome scenes in this movie, we go back to Frost telling his story, and it's a straight on shot of Fred Williamson, and he's talking about like the aftermath of this bloodbath and how he has chunks of yellow flesh on his bayonet.
Yeah,
then,
yellow. He had to say yellow.
Yellow. And then you see these two creepy vampire hands go up above his shoulders, and then he gets bitten in the neck by Sex Machine. Sex Machine also, I think, in this bites Jacob as well, as they're all like kind of having this giant fight. Oh, that's
right. Yep.
As Frost gets bitten, the doors blow open, the bats all get in, and Jacob has been bitten. He hides behind the bar. Seth and the two kids end up going into like the back room.
Yeah, there's some catacombs.
Yeah.
And that leads them to safety for a brief moment.
Yes. So Jacob, who is now knows that he's turning into a vampire, he ends up, I believe he ends up killing Sex Machine. Sex Machine ends up dying one way or the other at the hands of somebody. And I'll just jump to it now. We get a thing moment with Sex Machine where he becomes a fucking giant rat.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Yeah, well, you think he's dead. Like somebody shoots him with an arrow or something.
His head gets ripped off by the whip.
Oh, the whip. That's it. He whips his head off and his head rolls away and you think, well, he's done. But no, he sprouts. He looks like a giant rat.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's actually, this all happens in the scene after they get out of the back room. So they end up in the back room, and eventually Jacob, who's turning, takes a shotgun and a bat and makes a cross and is able to get himself away from this horde of vampires that are now in the bar. He gets to the door. He convinces them to open the door, and he comes in and tells them, here's the plan. I'm going to turn. Like, this is going to happen right now. We have to go out and kill as many of these as we can. And, I think Seth comes up with the idea of, you got to come up with your faith again, because you could bless the water to turn it holy. And they also find a room where the vampires have been robbing these truckers, and it's just a load of different things.
Stuff.
Super soakers, a crossbow, and we get, fucking Seth finds, what is that? It's a pneumatic. Is that a jackhammer? That's not a jackhammer.
It's a jackhammer vampire stake.
He gets a jackhammer, and he takes a giant piece of wood and carves it into a stake end, puts it in there, and now he has this pneumatic like vampire killer machine, and it's a great gearing up moment, a little montage, and then they end up going out back into the bar while Jacob is still on their side. Jacob has made them all make a promise though that you're going to kill me. If the second I turn, you got to kill me. So they go back out, and this is where Sex Machine ends up getting killed. He gets his neck pulled off, I think by Seth. I think Seth catches his whip and then whips him around the neck, pulls his head off. Kate blasts him with a crossbow in the face. His body turns into a giant rat. Seth fights the giant rat, and Kate kills the rat as well with an arrow. It's a total melee.
It's crazy.
Eventually, Jacob.
It's pandemonium.
It is total pandemonium. It's Santanico pandemonium. Just vampires getting murked left and right, and everybody here fighting their guts out. Scott has super soakers with holy water and condoms filled with holy water. He's throwing like water balloons. Jacob eventually turns on them, and Scott kills him with a water balloon. But unfortunately, Master, what happens to Scott?
Unfortunately, Scott doesn't act quick enough, right? And Jacob bites him.
Jacob bites him. He kills Jacob with the water balloon, and then Scott just gets fucking enthralled by all these vampires, and they're biting him in the neck, and they're basically tearing him apart. And he's saying to Kate, like, kill me.
Yeah,
like,
she has a gun, right?
Yeah, so she shoots him in the head and kills him. And when she kills him, his body explodes and he kills all the vampires around.
Yeah.
So now it's just Kate and Seth, and they're basically back to back, spinning around in circles, trying to fight off these vampires that are quickly enclosing on them. But Manster, what is happening inside the building?
Yeah, so I guess as all the shots that have been shot throughout the movie are making little holes in the outside, and the sun is coming up outside, so we're getting all these little beams of light coming through all the broken windows and holes.
Yeah, and the vampires that are trying to get to them in the center of this room, if they touch a beam of light, obviously they're getting burned, so it's kind of protecting them. And Seth says, well, actually, Kate says it first, do you want me to save a bullet for me and you? And he says, no, let's take out all these motherfuckers. And then he says to her, start shooting more holes. So they start shooting more holes, and as they're shooting more holes that are hitting these vampires and blowing some up and stopping others from getting to them, you hear someone at the door, basically like, is Seth there? And he's like, kick the fucking door in. And these guys kick the door in, and as soon as they kick the door in, the sunlight goes into the bar,
floods the room,
and then hits the disco ball. And every vampire in this place just fucking explodes, like absolutely explodes. There's just hot dog meat everywhere. We end up seeing that it's not Cheech Marin again as Seth's contact and his goons that kind of save the day. We get, I'm going to paraphrase it because I don't remember it exactly. We get possibly the best line in the movie here. Why did you pick this fucking place? Of all the fucking places in Mexico, why did you pick this place? My brother's dead. This girl's entire family is dead. And as he's yelling at Cheech, Kate is just like standing there, like she just looks dumbfounded. She's holding like a gun, and she throws the gun down, and she just looks so out of it, as anybody would in this case. And Cheech is like, I don't know, I drove by it, man. It's like, you said you wanted to meet in the morning. It's open dusk till dawn. And he goes, what were those, psychos? And the best line.
Great line. No, psychos, I don't care how crazy you are, psychos don't blow up when they're hit by sunlight.
Yeah, that was vampires. So they end up having their discussion. He ends up negotiating a better deal for him to go to El Rey, giving Cheech less money, basically like, my brother's dead. This place was a fucking vampire nest, so I'm going to give you less of a percentage.
Yeah.
And Kate is, she has no family anymore, and she says to Seth, can I come with you? And I love this line too, where he says, what does he say? I'm a bastard, but I'm not a motherfucking bastard.
Yeah, I'm not a motherfucking bastard.
Yeah, meaning, again, like that's one of the things I like about this movie, and it's very much a Tarantino thing, is that even though we've been following Seth through this whole movie, he's not a good person. Like him and his brother have killed Texas Rangers. They made it clear in the beginning, whether it was Seth's fault or not, they ran over a school teacher. So he doesn't want Kate to have to deal with that. And he also says to her, he's like, you don't understand what El Rey is. Like, it is not a place for, he doesn't say this to her, but he's intoning, this is not a place for like a young white girl to be joining me, at. So he basically digs into his case. He gives a nice stack of money to Cheech for a new car. And then he digs in and gives Kate a stack of money. And they drive off. Seth drives off to go live his life in El Rey. She gets in the RV and probably goes back to the States. But what do we find out about the titty twister, Manster?
Well, as they're driving away, we see the backside of the titty twister, and it's basically just a buried Aztec temple surrounded by abandoned trucks and things. There's a massive hill, like slope going down. It's like 7 or 8 levels deep of an Aztec temple. It's nuts.
It's clearly a matte painting, but it's awesome. It's awesome. You said, you see like trucks hanging off the side of the mountain and all this stuff, and that's where the movie ends. So 30th anniversary From Dusk Till Dawn. Actually, boy, I just said it was January 19th or 16th it came out, and it's February 16th. So we're right there. We're right there here in All Thing February. All right, let's get into it. Let's talk about the box office.
All you care about is money.
Yeah, so like we said earlier, the budget was $19 million, and in the opening weekend, it made $10.2 million. Domestically on the year 25.8 and worldwide 59.3. On the weekend, so the top 3 movies of that weekend were number 3, 12 Monkeys at 6.1. Number 2, Mr. Holland's Opus.
Never saw it. I know what it is.
9.2. Yeah, I never saw it either. I like Opus from, what was the name of that?
Doonesbury.
No, not Doonesbury.
Isn't that Doonesbury?
No, it was a different, by Berkeley Breathe. What the fuck?
Yeah, he's
one of my favorite.
For better or for worse? Isn't he's the penguin or something, right?
He is the penguin, yeah. Opus.
Right.
I drew some pictures, Opus Crocus. Anyway.
Hold on, I got to look it up now. Keep talking.
Why the frick? I was so enamored with this strip, and now I can't even remember the name of it. Bill the Cat was in it.
Well, this is going to sound dumb to say, but it says here that it's just called Opus.
No, that's not it.
Opus was a Sunday strip drawn by Berkeley Breathe from November 23rd, 2003 to November 2nd of 2008.
Was that the name of it?
Set in Bloom County.
Bloom County, that's it. That's the name of it, Bloom County.
Oh, so maybe Opus was a spinoff of Bloom County?
Yeah, it could be.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, Bloom County, that's definitely the name. And anyway, number 1, that movie was not Mr. Holland's Opus or Opus Crocus or Bloom County. It was From Dusk Till Dawn.
Yeah. Yeah, I saw, so I have a quick story before we rate this thing. I have my From Dusk Till Dawn film's theatrical experience story. It's gross. So I was, 20 in when this came out? A week prior to this movie coming out, or a few days prior to this movie coming out, the Dallas Cowboys had won their last Super Bowl 30 against the Pittsburgh Steelers. I went to a friend's house and watched this. And in the next 3 or 4 days, everybody that was in that house got the flu or a stomach bug. And I got a stomach bug that was like fucking terrible. I was puking everywhere. I missed work for a couple days. I got my mom sick. My mom got very sick. Felt better. Next weekend, went to go see this movie with a friend of mine. And we went to the mall before, and I remember we had dinner at Ruby Tuesdays.
Oh, yeah.
And I felt fine. We go to see the movie. The movie ends, and I realize that my stomach is bothering me. And we're at the theater in Meriden, Connecticut. Drive home. And as we're driving home to my parents' house where I lived at the time in Middletown, tell my buddy Mike, I'm like, dude, floor it. Because I think I'm going to shit myself. He gets me home, and I get out of the car, and I'm now at the point, and I know you know what I mean, Manster. I'm at the point now where I realize that if I make the wrong movement, I am going to fucking drench my pants with just liquid feces. I get to my parents' front door, and I open the front, and the front door is right across from the downstairs bathroom door. I open the front door, and I shut the door behind me, and my mom is in the living room. I can't see her, but I hear her. She goes, hi, and I'm like, shut up. I get the bathroom door open, and I shut it behind me, and now I'm using every ounce of my X-Men style superpowers to hold this shit in my body, and I'm holding it in. And now I'm fumbling with my belt, and my belt is now Chinese arithmetic. My belt, I get my belt off, and I unbutton my pants, and I unzip my fly, and I grab my pants, and I start pulling my pants down around my knees. Okay, so I'm still standing up, and my pants have come down. As soon as my knees unlock to start to go into seating position, I expel at high speed the most diarrhea you've ever heard of or seen in your entire life. And it is everywhere. It is on and in the toilet. It's on the floor. It's on and in my pants. It's on my legs. It looks like a goddamn fucking, I don't know. Who was that? Who was that?
Looks like a scene from Dusk Till Dawn.
Yes,
right,
it does.
The bar.
It looks like who was that painter who did all the splattering shit?
Pollock.
It's a Pollock.
Pollock.
It's a Pollock and Brown.
Oh my God.
So I'll leave the story at that. A lot of cleanup had to be done. I live with my parents, so I'm like, look, you don't have to clean this up, but I got to tell you what happened.
Toothbrushes have to be thrown away.
There's a lot of stuff happened there. So yeah, that's my From Dusk Till Dawn theatrical. I'll never forget it. 30 years ago. R.I.P. to my parents' bathroom. It was never the same after that. All right, let's rate this fucking thing.
Now! What's it gonna be, Doc? Huh? What's it gonna be?
0 being the worst thing ever, 5 being the best thing ever, quarter and half scale optional. Manster, I'll go first. This is easy for me. I'm going to pull a Manster on this one. This is a 5. I love this movie. First half is a Tarantino-esque crime thriller. We got some great actors in this thing, all the way from Harvey Keitel, Juliette Lewis, obviously George Clooney, and George Clooney also maybe his hottest in this movie. He just looks great in this thing. Salma Hayek just bringing the, her gorgeousness game up to 1,000. And then when you get past that initial, this feels like this feels like a Reservoir Dogs, or it feels like a Pulp Fiction. Then it switches to Evil Dead 2. And I love that kind of like splattery, funny, great FX horror comedy that this movie delivers that reminds me of like an Evil Dead 2, where there's a lot of slapsticky things happening, but also a lot of cool effects. Like the scene where Sex Machine turns into a giant rat. It's like a scene out of The Thing. Like literally his head gets cut off, the body is on all fours, and then all of a sudden a giant rat head comes out.
Yeah.
And it looks just like something you would have seen in John Carpenter's The Thing.
Yep.
There's a frenetic pacing to this once you get to that vampire portion. It kind of has this nice, like, slow build up. We learn all these characters' ins and outs, and it's nice to learn about these characters, but in the second half, it doesn't really matter because it just becomes a wall-to-wall action, extravaganza. A lot of blood. There is a lot of very cool practical stuff going on in this. There's not a lot of CG. Some of the fire stuff looks like it's, probably, close to, not CG or close to like that kind of effect, but it's, and then you get like some genre favorites. Fred Williamson, Tom Savini, who has done the makeup and SFX for so many cool things, he's really good in this movie. He's a fun character. He makes me laugh. I don't find any fault with this movie. I enjoy it very much. And I think it's just a good time. We had done this, like I said, with Larry 5 years ago, and I looked at my letterbox, and at that point was the last time I saw it, and I gave it a 4.5. And when I watched this yesterday, I went, that's a 5. That, to me, that movie's a 5. It's just the right length. It's like an hour 45. It doesn't go too far. It's not too short, because it has to give the two halves ample time. But yeah, I'm going with a 5. Manster, what do you got?
Yeah, no, that's a good movie. That's your rating, man. I wanted to point out one thing. I have some awards here. So Fangoria Chainsaw Award, MTV Movie Awards, and Saturn Awards. George Clooney was nominated and won for Best Actor in all of those. And also won the Saturn Award for Best Horror Film, nominated for a bunch of other stuff. But then it was also nominated for Razzie Award and Stinker's Bad Movie Awards for Worst Supporting Actor, both going to Quentin Tarantino.
Tarantino's not an actor, right? He's the guy that shows up in some of his movies in a small role. He's fine in this. And you know what?
Yeah, he's fine. For the character, he's fine.
Right. And you know what? He plays a creep pretty well.
Yeah.
Right? Because he probably is a creep. That's kind of people kind of have that thing about him. And it's a good dichotomy with Clooney, because Clooney is the good looking leading man and Tarantino is not.
Yeah, and he's the Frankenstein.
Right. 100%.
Yeah, so this movie, it's so crazy. It's got all this frenetic energy. Like we said, Tarantino's character is very disturbing, which is probably why he's killed off, I would imagine. You can't keep a character like that alive for too long. But on the other hand, George Clooney and Harvey Keitel is very, very good. Jeez, I don't know what else to say. It's just bonkers. It's crazy. It's one movie and then another movie. I'm going to give it a 4.75.
All right, I'll take it.
Right the fuck up there.
I'll take it for sure. All Fang February is coming to a close next week, and we're talking about the Mansters. This is his right here. Near Dark. We're recording that one at the end of this week with Scary Larry Dwyer, and that will be next week's episode. And I know a 5's coming. I have a feeling a 5's coming from the Manster. So if From Dusk Till Dawn couldn't get you there, Near Dark will push you in, but we'll find out. Manster, tell everybody where they can find us.
All of your podcatchers on YouTube. It's the Pint of Pop Culture Podcast. On Instagram, it's at the Pint Pop, and on Patreon, you still have time to do that. www.patreon.com. /The Pint. Be an insider for just $2.50. No more $4, just $2.50.
$2.50. Jump in, get all kinds of extra episodes, like this month's werewolf films in all Fang February.
Yep.
The Howling 2, Your Sister is a Werewolf, and Silver Bullet. Get those, $2.50.
That's
Till next time, get yourself some stinky pussy, maybe some smelly pussy, some
chicken pussy.
chicken, dog pussy, some see ya pussy.
See ya.
It's over, Johnny. It's over!
Nothing is over! Nothing! You just don't turn it off!